This week on the BlastCast, we talk about the Gamescom presentation and how this has absolutely changed the perception of what this game is in the minds of many, many people. Today on the BlastCast, let's get to it. Greetings, citizens. Welcome to another week of BlastCast. Once again, this is Jarvis, and with me, as always, is my bastion of common sense, Lightning Dragon.
Warning, this podcast may go on longer than intended.
Yes, it may go on as longer than intended. There's so much to talk about. We had, of course, the Gamescom presentation, which I think I don't think there's anyone who wasn't floored by it. I remember I contacted Lightning here, and I told him, I said, hey, here's a link to the stream. First thing he says, it's going to be half an hour late.
It's like, yeah, it's like, hey, here's the link. It's like, yeah, it'll probably be half an hour late.
Yeah, we were dead on that one, you know. So yeah, it was like, so it starts, and we were just both enthralled. I mean, the whole time, to see the scope and the scale and everything come together the way it did, and I mean, it even floored Derek Smart. And we had his Twitter up so we could watch the hilarity of his comments with popcorn ready, you know. And he said three things. Started off with saying the whole planets thing was CGI last year, even though they showed a live demonstration, and it was basically CGI. And then he countered himself by saying that, haha, he can't get back into the ship because he can't land right. It was just like, dude, you just countered yourself.
It's a scripted event.
Yeah.
Well, why would they script a botched landing? Wouldn't they have a perfect landing if it was pre-recorded?
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, oh, it's all R&D. That was it. That's all he could say. And it's just like, wow, dude, seriously. It was. He had nothing to say, and you could almost hear the penny drop, and I loved it. It was golden. It was absolutely golden. So yeah, that was awesome in and of itself. The presentation, seeing that all come together, the atmospheric effects entering the planet, the landing, the ground combat with the vehicles, just all of it, just put together. It was just the best presentation they've ever had. And the thing is that what we saw is old tech. We haven't even seen the new tech.
Yeah, that was the 1.0, and they're already working on 2.0.
Yeah, what we get to see at CitizenCon is going to be even in greater detail and depth, and I would also expect them to reveal a lot of Squadron 42 stuff. So let me start by also kind of mentioning that the PTU 2.5 is of course out. It's currently on patch K at the moment. I tested it today. The big problems they're still having, of course, is network code. We're dealing with a lot of desync issues. Missiles that fire and fly in like a lightning bolt pattern. I mean, you literally watch the smoke trail. Like, oh, it's weird. I mean, they just go, and it's you don't know
new type of missile.
Yeah, they're definitely maneuverable. Like they fly like a Tron motorcycle. So the thing is that they still they've been trying to nail down exactly what's causing it. They created a series of crashes in there to force the computers to, when there's a crash log. It details what your computer was doing the last few minutes. So they built crashes in there to get people's logs to see what they're experiencing in the game. Kind of a weird way of doing it, but hey, whatever. So yeah, I wouldn't expect to see that one right off the bat. So, all right, well, Lightning, I might as well ask, what was your favorite part of the presentation?
That's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
The very end, when they're doing the first-person shooter part, and the freelancer comes around and just blasts the dude with his main guns. I thought that was
awesome.
Excellent, because not only was it hilarious, but it also demonstrated that ship-based weaponry can harm players, and in this case, obliterate them.
Yeah, it was nice seeing the interactivity of layers. It was like seeing the micro being crushed by the macro. You know. It was definitely awesome. For me, it was, I think, when I saw the box inside the Starfarer, and I was like, I know what that is. Yellow box. I said, it's got to be Dragonfly. It's got to be Dragonfly. And the second that they took the Dragonfly out of the Starfarer hull, the husk, and they parked it in the Freelancer, that answered a question for me. I said, because I have 2 dragonflies and I have a freelancer. So for me, it was like, can I park a dragonfly and a freelancer? Well, let's find out, And the fact that they've managed to come up with a system that has you have the grid in the ship where you have the physics grid, and you're able to park a vehicle inside that grid and have it persist. There was one visual glitch for a moment where the ship disappeared to one of the players on the screen, but that was the only glitch I saw in the whole thing.
And they were saying that they haven't had it happen very often either. So
yeah, and that's something they'll get hammered out. But to have a ship in a ship like that, and then fly right down to the planet, and he just backs it out and drops down to the planet, and then
it doesn't
engages.
Glitch and explode while in transit. I mean,
Yeah.
even with space engineers for the longest time, even if it was hard locked onto the ships, they'd still blow up sometimes. And I think a lot of that has to do with netcode in Space Engineer's case, because it is a physics game. It really is.
Yeah, and the thing is that just to see, he hits the ground, he switches to the hover mode, and now he's engaged with another dragonfly and a ground vehicle. I forget the name of it. I apologize at the moment. It's the one that comes with the exploration ship, and basically right then and there as well. It was very apparent that all the AI, or not AI, but all the enemies were being played by other employees of CIG, especially because that one got stuck.
There was probably at least 4 people playing.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably that or more. And the thing is that they got the vehicle stuck on the obstacle.
Yeah, because he was
like,
driving in third person.
Yeah, Chris like, go first person, so you can get off. So when first person got off the thing, and then they switched to that person's camera and they got out of the vehicle. Like, we were like, whoa, it's fully done. It's not.
The interior was all done too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that will just kind of half fake it. So
yeah, we got to see grabby hands. How it works, implementation. I thought
Ursa
it was really...
Rover, $50.
Ursa Rover, there you go. I thought it was really funny. It was kind of if any of you have seen the opening of Ace Ventura when he's delivering the packages, he's just
kicking it all over the place.
Yeah, he's carefully carrying over the package with the grabby hands. He just chucks it on the ground right there. I thought that was funny. It was just. It just had this. Yeah, maybe we need to come up with a way to put the package down a little bit softer than that. No, but yeah, the whole thing, the way the NPCs interact, I like. Now, some people are concerned that when you have the NPC and you have those kind of scripted missions where you sit down with someone at a certain location, it's like, oh, is this going to become a real problem? Where people are going to be waiting in line, they're going to be sitting there, and there's going to be this like one dude at a table with like another dude in a chair across from him, and 200 guys standing behind the guy in the chair going, come on, man, hurry up. And I don't think that's going to be the case. Some of these missions are going to be instanced when you get there. I mean, to a degree, they're going to have to do that, and that's what their system's going to allow. That they're creating these little dynamic shards. As far as picking missions, you may have, I guess, realistically speaking, you may have to wait once in a while, but he's not going to be the only mission giver. I mean, you're going to have 100+ systems, multiple planets, multiple bases.
Not to mention, if you actually have standings and factions, if you're in a high standing, you're not going to probably get those, salvagey, slightly questionable missions.
Right.
So there's going to be a divide right there.
And the way the mission introduces itself was, hey, I heard about you, blah, blah, blah. It sounds like that's an offshoot of having built up some reputation. So it doesn't sound like it's something. It sounds like you do, for example, you're doing standard missions, whether they're piracy or they're cargo or whatever they are, and you're playing around for a while and you build up some reputation, and like, oh, you hit reputation level 2, and then someone contacts you, and if they gateway it like that, those kind of events, like, not everyone's going to hit the next rank of reputation with so and so at the same time. So it would also keep people. It would split things out a little bit as well. I think that's a really good way to approach it, because we're all going to have different goals. That mission might be only available by getting reputation with Joe up to level 3 or something like that, and so there's no conflict. There's very little conflict going on there, and we're going to be able to choose where we play. We're not all going to be playing in the exact same areas and stuff like that. So once again, I don't think it's going to be a big deal at all. But some people brought up the concerns because it was like one of the early mistakes that a game that I do love now, especially with the change they made, Elder Scrolls Online, when they started off. I guess
Oh,
they,
in the beginning, it was just awful.
yeah, they said there was like a queue for the quest people. Everyone was just kind of standing around, like, can I talk to him now?
Big mobs, and
Yeah,
also fighting the bosses.
yeah,
There was just piles of people just waiting to get a hit in on the bosses and stuff.
yeah, yeah. So they
Arcade too for some of the bosses and stuff.
yeah, you're absolutely right. And so those games are out there, and I think that any MMO developer can use them as examples of what not to do. But I don't see that as being a real issue. And that came up in some discussions, even on other websites and whatnot. But I think it's a bit short-sighted to worry about something like that right now. CIG is going to be aware of it because, well, come on. I mean, we're talking about it right now. Clearly, they're talking about it. Just because of the fact that we all have brains, we all think things, and these things come up. So and also one of the amazing things is that the magazine reviews and game site reviews that were coming out for the presentation were extremely positive. And what's nice about that, it's like the everything's flipped. We've had presentation after presentation, we've had demonstrations, we've had screenshots and images and game. And no matter what CIG has put out at this point in time, there's been more critique from these magazines or these websites, it seems, than actually acknowledgement of what they've done right. Now, when this presentation came out, especially after the recent failings of No Man's Sky,
I'd
they
like
all
to point something out, though,
yeah.
just because you bring No Man's Sky up. And unfortunately, this is kind of the case with a lot of the gaming news articles, is they'll jump on something if it's, oh, this is bad. They'll smash it. They'll just hammer the point. Look how bad this is. It's so bad. And when something
True.
good comes out, they're like, oh, look how amazing this is. Look how good it is. They are like vultures.
Yeah,
So,
no, absolutely. And when you put the two together, you end up with a real shitstorm.
oh,
So
yeah.
what happened is you ended up with the people who were like I didn't really have any expectations for No Man's Sky, and I still play it and kind of enjoyed it. It's just a game I bebop around in, but I didn't really expect much out of it. So whatever. The thing is that so when a game fails with a lot of expectations and a lot of promises that were set, at the same time that something that set a lot of promises shows what it shows in real time, what it's been promising to deliver, kind of happen within like days of one another. Those two forces lining together creates a vulture feast where everything. But what was nice is that it wasn't Star Citizen being munched on this time. It was like, wow, their planets are way more interesting than Elites. Their planets are way more interesting than No Man's Skies.
well,
And
yeah,
this is
just think a couple months ago, it's like No Man's Sky is going to obliterate Elite Dangerous. Oh no, Star Citizen will never be played again. And when No Man's Sky comes out, and here it is, No Man's Sky comes out, and while it's good and like amazing, maybe if you want to use that word, with what they've done with the procedural generation, at the same time, they're showing us that you can't just only do procedural generation.
right.
You look at Elite Dangerous, right? And they're like, oh, well, we're going to have procedurally generated planets, but, we're going to keep in, mind that there's poles and, there'll be different forests and they're already probably taking the failures of No Man's Sky and applying it to make their stuff better.
And how their tech works is different than No Man's Sky. It's like they have and right now you only have the lifeless planets, but I know that they're going to be adding that stuff, the planets with like water and like the habitable planets in the future, because what developer wouldn't shoot for that? The thing is that like the way their tech works, it's like you have the planet is randomly generated in the system, and it's not random every time you go there, but I mean initially speaking, and it's got really good textures and bitmaps and all that. And then the game, when you get a certain distance from it, like it converts it over to like a physical, like actually like these maps now have characteristics and depth and bump, and then you end up having like this planet that's got canyons and valleys. Now they applied that to a planet like a thing like No Man's Sky is that if you have, for example, a swamp planet, it's there's no continents and oceans. and
It's
things
like
like.
Tatooine. The entire planet is
It's
what
a
it is.
swamp. There's or
Dagobah,
and
the swamp
yeah,
planet.
there'll be
Tatooine, the desert planet.
yeah. There's a certain percentage of water, there's a certain percentage of land, and none of it really clusters up. So it's like it's always like just intermingled, and like there's it's like puddles everywhere. There's like ground. It's like there's a lot of the space, and it's a lot of different textures and a lot of different geometry, but nothing that says like this planet has continents and has rivers and nothing like that. You won't see any of that. So if they're smart about it, they'll go ahead and work on that tech. This is where once we go back looking at those two thoughts, you go back to Star Citizen where they said that basically yes we have procedural, but they're also artist driven. So they look at it and they go, okay, what we want to do is we like this aspect that it came up with, but we're going to go in here and modify it. We're going to change this part of it. We're going to use a paintbrush here, so to speak, and we're going to paint a forest out. And that forest, this tool we have for forest,
And a pretty little bush down here. And
yeah.
if you tell anybody about this little bush, I'll kill you.
Welcome to programming with Bob Ross. Today we're gonna paint a happy little meadow over here, and mountains to the north, and to the west we're gonna go ahead into a happy little forest. And I'll put a happy little shack right down here that our freelancer can crash into. No, so basically no, exactly. You have these procedural kind of things, these brushes where they can go out and go, okay, this area is a plains, and they can just go shh. They they spray it out or whatnot, and
I
inside.
was wondering if that was a hush noise or what. It's like, wait a minute, what?
they kind of just spray it out, and then inside of that.
Just spray it out, okay.
Well, yeah, but within that area they paint it, like painting a model. As you zoom in, there's that tech has a little bit procedural in it, or whatnot, randomized. Like here's bushes, there's trees, there's whatnot, everything that you would find that kind of environment. And then they have the same thing for forests, and the same thing for snowy areas or whatever. And so basically so in a sense like you could use procedural on procedural, but you could use it in a very directed fashion.
Procedural-ception.
Proceduralception. Wow. But having that kind of artist-driven interaction between the dynamics of how the planets look and come out, you do avoid that situation that you have currently, like in No Man's Sky, and to an extent in Elite Dangerous. And this is the idea that quality will always be preferable to quantity. I mean, it's great that both these games have billions and billions of planets. Are you ever going to be able to see all of them? No. I'd rather have, a couple hundred, and even that's more than I would hope for.
Well, like I mentioned before we started recording, it's like if Star Citizen has 100 planets, which is probably going to have more than that, and then it has like 500 moons, because the moons are a lot easier to do, there'll be more detail and more stuff to do across those, 600 planets or planetoids than like No Man's Sky or even Elite Dangerous, unless Elite Dangerous goes above and beyond with their stuff. So when you land on a planet, maybe there is only one city on this one, but there's several cities on another one. And as they, develop the game more, it's possible that those cities will get bigger, and then there's more stuff to do, and it's already all nicely built, and you just go to one place.
Well, there's a real possibility, about how as the game develops, the cities might grow, and that goes back to what Chris had mentioned during the presentation. He said there's plenty of real estate out there for players to put down their own home or house or something. It was something along those lines. What he said basically sounded like, are they talking about you're able to make your own player housing somewhere out there on
Which
a moon?
Would be amazing if
Oh
they do
my
that.
God! I tell you what, I have friends, especially one in Canada, who would absolutely just have the game for that, right there. I have a house on an asteroid in a ring of a giant gas giant. I mean,
Hell,
done.
that'd be the perfect thing for us if we can find a moon outside of a gas giant next to an asteroid belt next to a refinery.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and if we can build a house or a settlement or even eventually a town and city, we'll just that's
Guilds could do that together. And
guild base right there. If you can get hangars eventually, you base your whole thing out of there, and if it becomes popular enough, maybe that NPCs will show up and you'll actually get missions and stuff there. It'd be amazing, if they do support that. I mean,
And that would take a while. I don't expect that in the
it
beginning,
would
but
definitely take some effort to do,
but
but
the fact that he even mentioned something like that, just it was done in passing. It was kind of like one of those things that either you noticed it, and if you did notice it, it was kind of like the way you noticed like the fact you stepped out in the street without checking both directions and got hit by a car, kind of not noticing it. So they really you really noticed it when you heard it, or you didn't listen to it at all, and someone mentions it later, and you're like, what? I didn't hear that. So when I heard him say like the housing thing, I was just taken aback. I was just like, whoa, because I come from playing Star Wars Galaxies, and we had, you have guilds and stuff that would set up towns and everything like that, lay out streets, everything like that, little bases, and it was just communities. There was nothing predefined, and so basically, our guilds would go out and make these city streets and whatnot. We'd lay out grids, and just to think of that possibility of that being in Star Citizen to me, because I miss a lot of the aspects of Star Wars Galaxies, and I'd like to see in that kind of sandboxy kind of way to come back into a game, especially when I'm this much into. Man, I'm happy. I'm happy. It's just the very thought that could happen.
you're as happy as a clam in an oyster farm, or I don't know, something.
Well, there was also an interview done with Bad News Baron and Captain Richard, and there was some additional information that came out outside of the presentation. And let's see here. It says here that in CitizenCon here they're planning to show off the next level of PG tech, vegetation, water, oceans, a crisis-style planet, and that there's the 40 stations that they're going to be setting up for the Stanton system. Not all of them are going to be in 3.0. They're working on duplication and modularity of the existing stations to build it out, and also as well as that they're looking at setting the scale on planets distance to 1/10 the scale, and planets are 1/4 the scale size, which is still fine because, I mean, if you make a planet Earth 1/4 the scale, there's not enough players in the entirety of Star Citizen to even fill up Rhode Island. So I'm not worried about that. That's fine. That's still enough room to play around with. It takes about 40 minutes to cross Stanton. That's fine. There's some people complaining about that on the forums. But come on, guys. Let's. You know what you're getting into. I mean, the idea like, okay, we're going to quantum drive across the system. Okay, great. We're set. I'm going to get out of my chair. I'm going to do maintenance on my ship. I'm going to go back there and, do whatever I have to do.
My only thing, though, which is not really a thing to worry about because they're probably going to mess with it, is the fuel levels right now, as they are over the top for how much it drains. I'm assuming they're going to scale it, basically the fuel drain down as the larger the game gets, to test like, okay, well, how much fuel does you use when you go from here to here? Okay, well, that's too much, or that's not enough, or whatever.
They'll go through and scale all of it. Right now, we've got, just a couple. We got like one planet and some moons kind of thing right now. So yeah, they'll scale it all around because they obviously. But it wouldn't shock me that to some degree that you may have to stop off at a station along the way. I wouldn't have any real issues with that as long as they have places to fill up. And also
my only thing is, depending on how large the system is, and obviously it really depends on what ship you're flying. If you're in a fighter and you're trying to go across an entire solar system, yeah, I'd expect you to have to pull over a few times unless you got like drop pod fuel tanks. But like if you're in a freelancer or something bigger than that, like a constellation or even bigger, you really shouldn't have to stop off for fuel unless you're going across multiple systems. Because that'd just be annoying. Oh, I'm in my freelancers designed to explore. Hang on, I've gone 400 light years. I need to halfway across the system. I need to fill up. Oh, there goes all the money.
They've already look, come on, you got ships like the Vanguard, which are meant to go out without having to refuel.
And the fuel drains faster than a freaking fat man who sat down too fast.
Well, yeah. So I'm not worried about that. All that stuff's gonna be adjusted in time. Right now, they have very little to play with. They're mostly, I think, having the fuel run out as fast as it is to test the economy.
Mechanics. Yeah,
test the mechanics, test the economy, it's just those things together, and once they expand it, they'll blow the rest of it out as well. Let's see here. We've got as well. There's going to be emphasis on ship maintenance for large haulers making long trips, coming with items 2.0. The job well is coming in 3.0, along with more handcrafted missions and those provided by actual characters. Some elements of the PG'd mission system coming in 3.0. I guess a procedurally generated
Parental guidance?
Parental guidance. No, procedurally generated mission systems coming in 3.0. So I guess like that's like if you had an NPC group out there that was doing cargo and it got attacked and the cargo was stolen, the ship's destroyed, and then players or even in a group of NPCs, depending on who did it, will get a bounty. That bounty will go up on a mission board, and then you can pick up that mission and then go deal with the pirates. So that's the procedure. It's kind of like using the natural flow of the game to create dynamic missions based upon real events that are occurring in the game, which I think is awesome. The last day of the shoot they did at Imaginarium was actually for the Persistent Universe, not Squadron 42, and they actually have another shoot planned for the Persistent Universe later in the year. And they're still working on more facial capture for eyes, hair, and skin specifically. And let's see here. They also going to be working on news reports in game. Live facial capture for news reports in game.
Like for the TV news vans?
Yeah. Well, also more
the Reliant.
But the fact they're saying they're working on live facial capture for news in game. So like you could be sitting there like at a bar and someone actually like is reporting on something, and then you get to see their procedurally generated face or what. Please let it be a face. And because we've all had experiences with remember the Xbox Live where they got their camera.
No. When you were talking about that, the thing I was thinking of is like they can have like random missions that are event wide, like you're in this system, random event, and it's a face they've already done, and it's just blah blah blah.
Well,
blah.
maybe that's probably just be an avatar, but I got the flashback to playing Uno with Xbox Live with the camera, because you could have that, you could actually show your face playing it or something like that, and people were not putting the camera on their faces. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have that.
I just. No, it's like this is how this player 1 is Dong, player 2 is Willie, player 3. I'm like to see this. So no more of that. Okay, so no, I think it's just gonna be the character. Like if you have a character that you built a face on, then they'll map it out to your procedural or whatever. Let's see here.
I don't even think they'd go that far. Honestly, I think they'd have like actual like news characters they've created.
Maybe.
And they'd grab one of those, and this person from the NPC is saying, massive transport ship is collided with the station and they need aid or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they come up with a voice system and things like that that'll like text to speech that sounds somewhat decent, then sure, why not?
Sometimes that's funny though.
Yeah, you could do like a Master Orion. They have those news robots, kind of thing. You could have like news bots. They're built for the uncanny valley. Just let's see here. So we have of course player-driven events. They want to have that. That's based on to create a more dynamic and living game. And 2.0 is going to start including aging, wearing down, and wear and tear on components of ships, and possibly character aging, which means if characters are supposed to age, then
wrinkles.
More than that. Think about that. Does that also mean that if characters are going to age, are we going to be looking at character creation then?
Oh shit, that'd be awesome.
Because
the female character model and the new male model, I believe, are close to being done if they haven't already finished them, and they're just holding them back because they want to surprise us because they love doing that.
Yeah, but I mean, are they going to have the generic placeholder character age, or that's I guess it's a possibility, but to me that almost sounds like they're saying, hey, you're going to be able to make your character finally, and then it'll age and stuff. So probably waiting for the network code to catch up. So they have here is that the mocap rig is owned by CIGs in the UK, and they're going to be using the LA studios to capture a lot of the smaller stuff in the future. So they're going to be moving out of there to back, which is kind of what the plan was all the time. So yeah, it was kind of interesting, some little snippets in there. I thought they were kind of interesting in it. But yeah, I mean, this really what it looks like to me when you put all this together, when you put together the presentation they had, when you put together this kind of news, it really feels like we're in the home stretch. And Squadron 42, is it possible that they could get done by the end of the year? It really depends on what's in it. Like, for example,
a lot of it also depends on polish too. I mean, right now,
right.
Squadron 42 could be done,
Right.
but it's in the most bare bones thing. Like, all the missions are done, all the objectives are done, and technically you could fly through them, but not all the assets are complete, and a lot of stuff is in placeholder models.
One of the QA testers said he played through the entire game already. That's the thing he hated about his job. He got to see the entire story because, so at the very least, yeah, that part of it does exist. And no, what I mean is, like, and I know that the Squadron 42 takes place largely in that one mining system, that one that they've shown for the longest time. So if they're not dealing with going down the planets procedurally, if they're not dealing with a lot of the things that the persistent universe is going to have, it's very possible that they could actually get it completely done. One of the things that I think really important to mention too is that there is another flight model change coming. Chris Roberts says he's been playing the game, and they've been tuning things, changing things to. They said we were going to be pleasantly surprised what we play. So here's where I got excited about that, where Chris Roberts says he's been playing the game. And because let's face it, if you watched any of his presentations, he hasn't been playing the game. I mean, we've been calling him Crash Roberts for a reason. He's like, gets in there.
Isn't that where the "this is bullshit" came from?
Yeah, exactly. He's not familiar with the controls. He wasn't familiar with it, but now he's been saying, "I've been playing the game, and we're making some changes to the flight model." That's encouraging to me. That's really, really encouraging to me, because he has a certain vision on it. As he said, World War II in space, a throwback to the original Wing Commanders, so on and so forth, and with Newtonian physics. When to me that's a very tells me he's very driven. He's very clear about the kind of flight model he wants. Now, as long as we end up with flight centric, I don't care what kind of model it turns out to be, as long as it's flight centric, not aim centric. So yeah, as far as the
fly the ship, not fly a gun.
Yeah, exactly. The last thing I want to do is and then have an FPS with my FPS with an FPS on the side. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love a good FPS, but I don't need every portion of the game to be one. So yeah, there's a lot of great developments. I think this was just a beautiful amount of information, a great week. I think this is a total victory for Star Citizen this week, and I love it. I even love the hate from the trolls right now, because they are running out of steam in their desperation. It's like they have
time for desperation mode, guys.
Oh, I know. They're like, oh, that I had to block someone up on my channel because it got pathetic to the point that I just had to done. I'm just done. You gotta go away, because like truth and reason bounce off you like the rubber ball bouncing off a wall. So it was just like, but they're getting desperate, and I love it, because as it gets closer and closer. So one of the things they don't realize is that, with the exception of Star Marine, every goal, every time they said, here, we're gonna make a hangar with ships. Oh, there you go. Oh, great. Now we're gonna have Arena Commander. Oh, there you go. Now we're gonna have a Persistent Universe. Oh, okay. And the reason that they redid the Star Marine, in my personal opinion, and I don't know for certain. I have a real feeling it had something to do with Elphonic, and that's.
Speaking of those guys, I haven't heard about them in a long time.
They're not doing the project anymore. They were
really.
They were dumped. And the thing is that, okay, that's when I watched, like, we do the monthly updates on the or whatever, the updates on the Around the Verse, and then we get to the Ilphonic section. Those guys always appeared to me to be not appearance, but their attitude was like, it wasn't good. It was
I
like
was thinking you were gonna say stoned.
well, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, but the point is their attitude wasn't good, and they seemed to be more irritated than they were excited, and I think it had something to do with the fact that Ilphonic has made some relatively decent, games, but I guess they've also made some Sonic games, so,
Oh no,
yeah, so, yeah, this Sonic is,
that's like the thing you don't want to ever touch ever in the industry. Never ever make a Sonic game. It
Sonic
doesn't matter
42.
how it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good you are, but previously what games you've made, a Sonic game will destroy you.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know which one it was, but anyway.
Well, I
So
got the power of Google right in front of me. Let's look it up. Continue on.
okay, you researched that little nugget. Anyway, so the thing is that they had well, all the things that CIG wanted. The way that FPS was being done in a way that hasn't been done before, even down to the level of breathing and the realistic, actual, not faked way you would see your weapon. I don't think Ilphonic was up to the task, and I think a lot of their work had to be scrapped.
Oh no, they
Oh
made
shit!
part of the Sonic Boom game.
Oh my God!
The
There!
one that Game
Oh
Grumps were playing, and they were rendering
no!
it, and people were teleporting in frame by frame.
Great, great. See, this is CIG. This
The
is why
multiplayer battle mode
you
part
don't hire
of
the
Sonic
Sonic.
Boom.
You don't hire the Sonic Boom team to do your FPS. No, no, no. Okay, that explains a lot. See,
Sonic
there,
Boom
there.
Rise of Lyric.
Sonic Boom Rise of Squadron 42 was why we didn't get the FPS for a year, because that was Elphonic. So yeah, I would definitely say that's why. So yeah, coming out, I'm excited for that. I think you're gonna see like a major boom. I think also in game
A
support.
Sonic Boom.
The Sonic Boom. No, I got the word stuck in my head now. Oh, they ruined Sonic. So yeah,
It was so hilarious. It
oh,
was like a train wreck. You can't look away.
it was like, oh yeah, it was a train wreck filled with orphans and dynamite. It's just not good. But anyway, guys, this is probably running really long, so
Almost 40 minutes.
exactly. So go ahead, leave your comments down below. What did you love about the show? Is there anything you didn't like about the show? What are you looking forward to? Do you think the idea of do you think he's going to do player housing? I mean, just give us your thoughts. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get this rendered before my renderer explodes, and y'all have a
Explodes
great
in a
evening.
giant fireball, and everybody dies.
And remember, don't hire people who worked on Sonic Boom. So
Or any Sonic game for
or
that matter.
any Sonic game for that matter. All right, guys, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time. Have fun.
Bye bye.
Just wanted to go ahead and give you an update on patch 2.5K that just came out today. They introduced some intentional crashes into this to get more feedback from people's computers. Didn't experience any of them myself. I'm flying the Freelancer because someone asked if I would see if the shield bug was still there. The shield seemed fully operational.